Are you wondering what the difference is between inbound and outbound sales? Maybe you're switching roles or are unfamiliar what the new role might hold for yourself. Keep watching to find out more. What's going on, guys? It's Fairhead here from Sales Unveiled, helping slash through all of the misconceptions around the sales industry and giving you some actionable advice you can genuinely use in your sales career. Inbound versus outbound sales. What's the difference? So unless you've been living under a rock, you understand that the sales industry has transformed massively over the past 20 years or so with the advent of the internet, making inbound sales leads a little bit more easier to come by. That being said, even though there is a lot of great content out there highlighting the difference between these two, they do miss out some key differences which could have some serious consequences for you and even cost you a sale, which, it's not good. It's really not good. In the video today, we're going to cover what the major differences are, the benefits and drawbacks of both, what the earning potential is, which ones are easier, and then we're going to wrap things up with a little bit of a bonus, so stay tuned till the end of the video. Now, a lot of you watching are probably just after the quick top line answer to what the major differences are. So to cut to the chase, inbound sales leads are leads that have been brought to you by marketing leads. They're usually warmer in nature and already have an idea about what it is that you do as an organization. Typically, they've downloaded content from your website, attended a webinar, or generally know the organization, have made a request to find out more information and have a prospecting call. Outbound sales leads, on the other hand, are traditional, good old-fashioned cold calling sales where you have a bunch of sales reps there who have to reach out to contacts, make a certain number of calls per day, and prospect a bunch of clients, and hopefully get a result on the back of that and find people who are interested in your offering. So why are inbound leads becoming more and more apparent? I mean, I've actually noticed this myself working in sales for the past 10 years or so. I know when I first started, I wasn't really receiving too many inbound leads, but definitely over the past couple of years, it's increased quite rapidly. In my opinion, it's again purely based off anecdote, the main reason for this, I think, is because of high-speed internet connections. I mean, if you think about it, the only organizations back in the 70s and 80s that were able to generate enough inbound leads for their salespeople to contact were the organizations with, massive brands like, Nissan or Warner Brothers, for example, just to put random names out there. Whereas now, because the cost of marketing is a lot cheaper with things like, SEO, PPC, digital marketing, it's been easier than ever to get eyes on content with things like, webinars, content downloads, blogs, allowing for an easier process for salespeople to get into contact with them. So what are the benefits and drawbacks of inbound sales leads and outbound sales leads? Let's start with the benefits of inbound sales leads. Benefit number one, the sales cycle is a lot shorter. So if you think about it, inbound sales leads, they're getting in touch with you either because they've downloaded your content or they've requested you to get in touch with them. The reason for that is mainly because they're already interested in what it is that you have on offer, meaning that they're going to be interested in the products that you offer there as well. That should hopefully mean that the sales cycle will be a lot quicker than it would be had you reached out to them from an outbound only perspective. Benefit number two, it's a lot easier to ask more difficult questions with inbound leads. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're outbound prospecting a particular client, you finally got a hold of them, they're interested in what it is that you have on offer, and then you ask them a question about their budget and what their budget is. They might feel a little bit more hesitant to want to give you over this information as you've completely called them up out the blue. If you change this up into an inbound lead and you ask them what their budget is, they're probably going to be a little bit more likely to want to give you that information just because they're the one that have actually reached out to you, putting you in a position of power there. So being able to ask more specific questions is going to make the sales process a lot easier. And again, relating back to point one, move the sales cycle a lot closer together there as well. Benefit number three, it gives you something to talk about. So if you think about it, outbound sales prospects can usually be a bit difficult because there isn't really a reason that we reach out to these people. Usually we try to find a hook, whether it's them switching roles or doing good in their jobs, but it can sometimes be a bit difficult. Inbound sales leads, on the other hand, they give you all the information there on a plate. I mean, even if they haven't directly requested you get into contact with them, it could be a case of they've attended a webinar, downloaded content. That gives you a talking point to really start the sales process going forward and really makes that sales and make that conversation a little bit easier, especially in the early stages. So what about the drawbacks of inbound sales leads? Well, there are two main ones that I can think of. Drawback number one, they're a lot more competitive. So if an inbound prospect has requested that you get in touch with them, they've likely done the same for a lot of your competitors on the marketplace as well. So these opportunities can be a lot more difficult further down the line, a lot more competitive to turn into an actual sale. Drawback number two, it can cause complacency. So if you think about it, salespeople, I like to see them as, almost being a muscle. The more you use it, the better use you'll get out of them. That being said, if a salesperson is only working inbound leads, some of the skills that are really good for salespeople, such as negotiation, such as thinking on your feet, all these things, they sometimes get left by the wayside when you're purely dealing with inbound sales leads, making the overall skills of salespeople sometimes not as good as they could be. So what about outbound leads? What are the benefits and drawbacks of those? Benefit number one, the ego stroke. So if you think about it, if you've worked at outbound sale from, first call all the way over to closing that sale, you get a massive sense of accomplishment and like you've actually done what your job requires you to do. Sometimes working inbound sales leads can feel very much like a note taker, just getting the bare basics of information in terms of what the prospect wants and then hoping for the best for a sale. Benefit number two, less competition. So if you think about it, reaching out to a contact completely out of the blue and making them aware of a problem that they need to address is going to be far more powerful than if a contact had come to you originally. This means that you're going to be able to bring your prospect through the entire sales cycle without having to worry about your competitors dropping their trousers when it comes to price or undercutting you in any particular way. Benefit number three, you can work for any organization. So what's going to be more powerful? Going into a job interview saying that you've only worked the leads that have been given directly to you and not done any prospecting, or being able to show an organization that you've done both. Showing that you've done outbound sales leads can be one of the best things that you can do, especially in the marketplace as we move more and more towards an inbound only sales approach. Doing this will also put you head and shoulders above the competition for whoever else is applying for your role. So what about the drawbacks of outbound sales? It can't all be sunshine and rainbows. Drawback number one, it's a much longer sales cycle. So unfortunately, if you've got a hold of someone and the timing isn't right and they're maybe 3 or 4 months away from being able to do anything, the sales cycle can take a hell of a lot longer than it would on an inbound sales approach, which is fine, but it just means that you've got to be a little bit patient. Drawback number two, there's a lot more rejection. So unfortunately, if you are purely going after outbound sales leads, get ready to hear the word no, probably 100 times a day. Dealing with rejection is a natural part of a salesperson's life. However, working on outbound sales in particular, you're going to hear no more, maybe 100 times more than you're going to hear yes. Having that resilience is going to be incredibly important when dealing with an outbound sales approach. So what about the earning differences between working inbound sales versus outbound sales? So from what I'm seeing across loads of different organizations within the sales community, the actual base pay is usually typically similar for both these roles. However, the major difference comes in commissions earning. Commission, as we know, is the bread and butter for a lot of us people working in sales. So this is going to be incredibly important to find out. To give you an example, let's say you work an outbound prospect that you eventually close for £10,000 or $10,000 or I don't know, $10,000 dues, whatever you want to call them. That deal typically would earn a 10% commission rate for most organizations if you were to work that outbound. For the inbound side of things, you'd be looking at a much lower commission rate, usually sometimes up to 50% less. So for that $10,000 sale close, you probably only earn about £500 or so on the back of that. So it could have a huge impact. But if you think about it, as an inbound salesperson, you're much more likely to close more deals, hopefully making up some of the difference there. So the moment you've all been waiting for, which one is easier, inbound sales or outbound sales? I've had the pleasure throughout my career of working pretty much every sales role you can imagine there. And in my experience, inbound sales is definitely easier than working outbound sales, purely because of the fact that you are speaking to people on a consistent basis. That being said, in order to succeed in inbound sales and close these deals and close at a higher proportion of the inbound leads that come to you, you do need to have the skills of an outbound salesperson in order to ask those really specific open questions that get you the information that you need. If there are any managers watching, then what I would recommend for you and what I've kind of done in the past with the teams that I've managed is to have an all-bound approach there to ensure that your sales team are capable of handling both inbound sales leads and outbound sales leads. And what you'll find is that their skill set as outbound salespeople will continue to increase, and they'll also have the morale boost of being able to have these deals close sooner from an inbound perspective. As we're aware, 99% of the success that comes with sales comes from your mindset. So being able to do this and have that split there is definitely going to work wonders. So thanks so much for sticking around to the end of the video. And I wanted to treat you guys all to a bonus, which is a question that I like to use both for inbound leads and outbound leads, which is, what did you think of X? So this question works really, really well. And it's a really open question as opposed to asking, did you receive the email or did you receive the content? I mean, if you think about it, asking this really opens up the question and can pretty much be used in any situation. So for example, if an inbound lead downloaded content on your website, pick up the phone, simply ask them, what did you think of the content? If you're working an outbound lead and you sent them over an email and maybe you sent them a video in the email, just simply ask them, what did you think of the video in the email? Even if they say no, or if they say they haven't saw it yet, that tees you up very nicely to ask a further question a little bit later on down the line and really dive into some of the problems that they might be having. Once again, guys, thanks so much for watching the video here today. Been a pleasure as always, giving you a little bit of information. Hopefully I can learn from you, you guys can learn from me, and we can make the internet space here of sales a little bit nicer. Please do like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. New videos up every Monday and Thursday. I'm testing out something at the moment, guys, whereby we have, full videos on the Monday and then shorts on the Thursday. You've also probably seen a lot of shorts there in the background, but this is a brand new channel and your boy needs to get his views up there. So just hoping to do what I can. And yeah, stay tuned for more. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. Have a good one. Bye.